what is coefficient of a term in an algebraic expression? Let's find out. The numerical factor of a term that has a variable is known as the coefficient of that term. So whenever we have an algebraic expression, we know that it consists of multiple terms, one or many terms. And whenever a term that has a variable, then we look at that term and we find out what is the numerical part or the numerical factor. And that numerical factor of that term is called the coefficient of that term. Let's take a look at some examples which will help us clarify this. So we have an expression 2x plus 6. The question is, what is the coefficient of the first term? So we know clearly the first term is 2x. So the first term here is 2x. And we can write 2x as 2 times x. This is the dot sign indicating multiplication. So this is the variable here, and this is the numerical part. So the numerical factor is 2, so we say the coefficient of the first term is 2. Now, if we were to be asked, what is the coefficient of the second term? The second term clearly here is 6. Now, can we find out the coefficient? We cannot, because this is a constant term. There is no numerical part. There is no variable part to this term. So we refer to such terms as constant term. And constant terms are such terms that do not change. And for constant terms, we cannot find out the coefficient. Coefficient is applicable only for the terms that contain variable, right? Let's take a look at some more examples. What are the coefficients of the first, second, and fifth terms? So let's first find out what these terms are. So the first term, we need to find out the second term, and we need to find out the fifth term. And then we are going to find out the coefficients. So clearly this is the first term. So the first term is 6y to the power 5. The second term, this is the second term, which is 4y cubed. And the fifth term, so first, second, third, fourth, fifth. This is the fifth term, which is 10. So the 10 is a constant term. So this is a constant term, and hence we cannot find out any coefficients for this term. What about the first and the second? The first term, we can write this as the number 6 multiplied by 5 power y power 5. And for the second term, we can write this as the number 4 multiplied by y power 3. Now, so for the first term, 6 is the coefficient. For the second term, 4 is the coefficient. So when it comes to identifying the coefficients of a term, we do not really consider the exponent or the power to which the variable is raised. So the first term, the variable is raised to the power 5. Second term, the variable is raised to the power 3. But when it comes to identifying the coefficient for the terms, we are really focusing on the numerical factor of the term. Let's take a look at some more examples. Now, what are the coefficients of the first and the second term? This is our first term, this is the second term. So let's write the first term. So this is square root t. We can write that as t to the power 1 by 2. And we can write this as 1 times t to the power 1 by 2. And hence, 1 is the coefficient. And for the second term, we can write this as 6 times t to the power 4. And hence, 6 is the coefficient. Let's take a look at maybe a couple of more examples. What are the coefficients of first, second, fourth, and sixth terms of this expression? Now, before we jump in, first, remember we have some negative numbers here. So let's rewrite this expression so that the negative numbers let's rewrite it in this fashion, right? So 10s power 5 plus, and then we write the negative term as minus 6s power 4 plus the third term is 3s cubed plus we want to write the fourth term as minus 2s squared plus s plus the fifth term is minus square root 5. Whenever we have negative terms, we want to write them like this. We want to put a plus in front and put the negative within the parenthesis. Now let's go back to our original question. We need to find out the coefficients of first, second, fourth, and sixth term. So let's write these terms. So the first term, the second term, the fourth term, and then we will get to the sixth term. So the first term is this. So which is 10s power 5, which we can write as 10 times s power 5, and hence 10 is the coefficient. For the second term, now the second term is minus 6s power 4. It's minus 6s power 4, which we can write as minus 6 times s power 4. S power 4. So the coefficient is minus 6. Now you may say, what if we write minus 6s power 4 as 6 times minus s power 4? Now you can do that, but remember minus s power 4 is nothing but 6 times minus 1 times s power 4, right? So what we do is we take the entire numerical factor, so which will be 6 times minus 1, which is minus 6. So minus 6 is the coefficient. So what about the fourth term? The fourth term, so first, second, third, fourth. So we see fourth term is minus 2s squared. So we can write this as minus 2 times s squared, and hence minus 2 is the coefficient. And what about the sixth term? So first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Sixth term is simply minus square root 5. Now we notice that this is a constant term and it does not have a coefficient. Let's maybe take one final example before we close this out. What is the coefficient of first, second, third, and fourth terms? Because we have negative numbers here, so let's rewrite this. So 7r cubed plus minus 6 by r squared plus r by 5 plus minus 12. So the first term is 7r cubed, or 7 times r cubed. So 7 is a numerical factor, so coefficient is 7. What about the second term? Second term is minus 6 by r squared. We can write that as minus 6 times r to the power minus 2. Now we do not, it doesn't matter the power to which or the exponent of the variable, or the power to which a variable is raised. We are focusing on the numerical part, right? The numerical factor, which is minus 6 here. So the coefficient is minus 6. What about the third term? Third term is r by 5, which we can write as 1 by 5 times r. And so 1 by 5 is the coefficient. Here the coefficient is a fraction, which is 1 by 5. This is the variable part, and this is the numerical part. And similarly for the fourth term, we notice that the fourth term is minus 12, which is a constant term.